Hello dear students of class 9th, welcome to geography class. I hope all of you are fit and healthy. Students, in this video, I shall be continuing with the 5th chapter from your geography book, that is Natural Vegetation and Wildlife. Students, in the previous video, I explained you about wildlife, about the distribution of wildlife in our country, that which type of animals are found in which regions of the country. I also explained you about the importance of vegetation and wildlife. That means why vegetation and wildlife are important. What role do they play? I explained you several points that why they are important. They gives us so much benefits. They provides us so much benefits. That is why they are very important. But let me tell you that despite of their importance, despite of the importance of fauna and flora, they are continuously under threat. Now, who is providing threat? Who is giving threat? We are giving threat. Because of us, the flora and fauna, they are continuously under great threat. Students, let me tell you that every species that is present in the ecosystem is important. Every species, from big animals to small animals, like from elephant to rat, from birds to fishes to insects, everybody that is there, every species of wildlife and vegetation that is there in the ecosystem is very important, and everything, every species of flora and fauna needs conservation. I already explained you that why they are so important. We think that only human beings are important. No, human beings are important, but human beings without flora and fauna, can they exist? Is it possible for the human beings to exist without the diverse flora and fauna? No, it is not possible. So everything, every species that is there in the ecosystem plays a very important role. That is why they all needs to be conserved. Now, what is the need of conservation? Why do we need to conserve them? We need to conserve them because they are under great threats. Threats by whom? Threats by the human beings. Because of the deeds of human beings, the natural vegetation and wildlife in the country is under great threat. Because of the excessive exploitation of flora and fauna by human beings. We are exploiting continuously. So that is why they are under great threat. Now, how it can be said that they are under threat? I'll give you some facts. I'll provide you some factual details that will help you to understand why they are under threat. You know, students, about 1300 plant species are endangered. About 20 plants, the 20 plant species, they have gone extinct. For example, the locust corniculatus. Then if I talk about the animal species, then some animal species are also endangered and some have actually become extinct. For example, the pink-headed duck, dodo, these animals have gone extinct. So that is why we need to that is why they are under great threat. Now, I will be explaining you the threats that now students, let us come to the threats, that what are the threats they are undergoing, that what are the threats that are there to the wildlife and vegetation. So the topic is threats, some of the causes of threats caused to the vegetation and wildlife. Why they are under threat? First of all, students, the first point is hunting by greedy hunters for commercial purpose. Commercial purpose means for making money. For example, if I talk about the one-horned rhinoceros, then the horn of that rhinoceros, that holds great importance, that holds great significance, and that horn is also used to make some medicine. So that is why the one-horned rhinoceros is killed by the poachers, by the hunters to make money. If I talk about the elephant's tusk, that is, elephants are also killed for their tusks. Then if I talk about the vegetation is cleared. Why? Why the vegetation is cleared? For several purposes. For example, see, land cannot increase, land cannot multiply, land is fixed, but the needs, the demands are increasing. We are getting more greedy. We want our own house. Land is limited, but population is continuously growing. So where we will live, for that we will need more land. So that is why the forests, they are cleared, the vegetation is cleared. They are cleared for making buildings, for industrialization, for urbanization, for developing. That means in the name of development we are snatching away the habitat of animals and birds. So this is the first point. That means hunting by the greedy hunters for the commercial purpose. The next point is pollution due to chemicals and industrial waste. See, the industrial waste, the industries are growing, so the industrial waste is also causing a lot of threat to the vegetation and wildlife. For example, the water full of chemicals and acids, they are discharged into the water bodies, and that water is used by animals for drinking purpose and for several other purpose. That water is also used for agriculture work. So if that polluted water will be used for agriculture, for providing for the irrigation purpose, then what will happen? The plants, the crops that will grow, will they hold nutritional value? No, they will be very dangerous for us. They can cause several diseases. That means the plants, the vegetation is getting polluted, and if that same water the animals will drink, what will happen? It will also cause harm to them, it will also cause threat to them. Also, it is causing threat to the aquatic life. Several aquatic animals, they are dying because of the industrial waste that is dumped into the water. The birds, the smoke that is emitted from the industries, that smoke is causing a lot of harm to the birds. So the industries, so the pollution that is caused by industry is also one of the threat that is faced by the wildlife and vegetation. Alright. Now coming to the next point, that is acid deposits. See, in the industries, several acids, salts, they are used, several harmful chemicals are used, which are very dangerous for the animals, which are very dangerous for the vegetation. So as I told you that these wastes are dumped either on land. If they are dumped on land, then in that case also it causes harm to the land, to the vegetation. As how it will cause harm? Because the quality of land, the quality of soil will be degraded. It will cause soil erosion. Definitely it will somehow affect the land, and if land will be affected, then the crops will be affected. That means the vegetation of that place will be affected. Moving to the next point. So students, the next point is introduction of alien species is also causing threat to the existing vegetation and wildlife. Now what is the meaning of alien species? Are they coming from any other planet? No, they are not coming from any other planet, rather they are coming from different ecosystem. See, we have different ecosystems in the environment, right? There are number of ecosystems like aquatic ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, then we have the ecosystem for birds, for animals, different types of ecosystem we have. But in case any animal is coming from different ecosystem, it is coming, suppose it is not indigenous, right? It is coming from some other country, some animal is coming, then that animal may affect, it may cause threat to the existing vegetation, that may eat the crops, that may eat the vegetation. So this way it causes threat to the vegetation and other animals too. Alright. Now the next point. The next point is reckless cutting of forests for cultivation and habitat. See, I already explained you that population is growing, right? So we need more and more, we need to eat more, our demands, our needs, they are growing, we are getting more greedy. See, I already told you that our environment has sufficient to satisfy our needs, but not our greeds. We do not have enough to satisfy our greeds. Whatever our needs are, our basic needs, that can easily be fulfilled by the environment, but greeds cannot be fulfilled because they have no end, they are never ending. So because we want more, because we want to grow more, as land cannot be increased, so the forests are cleared, deforestation is done. And if deforestation will be done, where will the animals live? We are snatching away the habitat of animals. We want to stay there. Have we thought about the animals, that why they are going extinct? Because they are not getting proper habitat. That is why they are extinct. So this is also one cause. We are building so much industries, factories, we want urbanization, we want industrialization. So all this is done on the cost of snatching away the habitat of wildlife and vegetation. So this is also one threat to the wildlife and vegetation. See, if forests will not be there, if trees will not be there, then from where we will get oxygen? It is not possible. That is the only medium from where we get oxygen. So we are not thinking that in that way. We are, in the name of progress, we are actually causing harm to ourselves, to our upcoming generations, right? So much pollution is there. We hardly find plants, we hardly find trees in the cities. Only you will find buildings, big buildings, factories, industries are there. So in the name of modernization, we are taking away the habitat, we are snatching away the habitat of several species of plants and animals. So I hope the threats that is caused to the flora and fauna is clear to everybody. Now students, we have seen the threats. Now what steps can be taken, or what steps have been taken for the conservation of flora and fauna? So now we are going to study about the steps, which is the last topic of this chapter. That means the steps that are taken for the conservation of flora and fauna. Now students, coming to the steps that are taken. So let me tell you that there are several steps that have been taken by the government to conserve the wildlife and vegetation of the country. Now what are the steps? As you can see, the first one, 18 biosphere reserves have been set up in the country to protect the flora and fauna. Now what do you understand by biosphere reserve? See, this is basically a large area that is reserved for wildlife. No interruption, no outside interruption is there, and this is a large area that has been reserved for the protection of the flora and fauna. Students, basically biosphere reserves are sites that are established by the country and that are recognized by UNESCO for the protection of, for the conservation of wildlife and for promoting sustainable development with the help of the locals of the country. Alright. So, as I told you that 18 biosphere reserves have been established, and 10 out of these 18 have been included in the world's network of biosphere reserves. Now there are 18, and among 18, 10 are included in the world's network of biosphere reserves. Now what are they that are included? See, as you can see the list, 10 of them that are included. So the first one is Sundarbans, then we have Nanda Devi, then we have Gulf of Mannar, then we have Nilgiri, then we have Nokrek, then Great Nicobar, Manas, Simlipal, Pachmarhi and Achnakmar, Amarkantak. So these are the 10 biosphere reserves from the country that have been included in the world network of biosphere reserves. Alright, you need to remember this because question may come, options may be there that which among the following has not been included or which among the following has been included. So you need to remember this. Okay. Then students, financial and technical assistance have been provided to many botanical gardens by the government since the year 1992. Now, for example, where this financial and technical aid have been provided in Kutch, then we have Cold Desert, then we have Shisha Chalam, which is in Andhra Pradesh, and we have Panna, which is in Madhya Pradesh. Then the next step that is taken by the government, several projects, for example, Project Tiger, Project Rhino, Project Great Indian Bustard, and many other eco-developmental projects have been introduced. That means species-oriented projects in order to protect a particular type of species. A special project or special types of projects have been made and implemented also, and these projects have really helped a lot in the conservation of these species. Then students, we have 103 national parks, 535 wildlife sanctuaries and zoological gardens. These all are set up to take care of the natural heritage. So these are the steps that have been provided by the, or these are the steps that have been taken by the government in order to protect the vegetation and wildlife of the country. Now students, apart from all this, we also have to take initiatives on our part. So as a citizen of the country, it is our responsibility to take steps to not do certain acts that can cause threat to the animals. For example, what we can do on our part, we cannot pollute, we can help in reduction of pollution. How? By using public transportation, by not using every time the own vehicle. We can use bicycles, we can do more of walking, that can help to reduce pollution, right? Then what else we can do? We can plant more and more trees, we can grow several, we can contribute a lot by planting more and more trees. This will help in increasing greenery as well as it will provide oxygen. So this we can do on our part. So whatever we can do, we should do. Definitely government is taking several steps and it has already taken several steps, but without our collaboration, without our cooperation, it is not possible for the government to alone do everything. Okay, so we as citizens, we are obliged to the nature, to the environment, and we must work to protect the nature. So I hope that all the topics that I have explained you are clear to everybody. I have covered about vegetation and wildlife. In vegetation, I explained you about the several factors that influence the vegetation of any place, in which I explained you about relief and climate, that how they both greatly influence the biodiversity, the vegetation or wildlife of any place. Then I explained you the types of vegetation, in which I explained you 5 types. I hope you remember. That is tropical evergreen forest, tropical deciduous forest, tropical thorn forest and scrubs. Then I explained you about montane forest, and lastly mangroves forest. After that, I explained you about several medicinal plants that are helpful for us, that helps to cure several diseases. After that, I explained you about the importance of forest, that what role the forests play. After that, I explained you regarding wildlife, about the distribution of wildlife in our country, that in which part of country what type of animals are found. After that, I explained you about the importance of vegetation and wildlife, that what role do they play, how they are so important, why they are so important. After that, I explained you about the threats. In spite of the importance, in spite of the benefits that they are providing us, they are under great threat. So I explained you several threats, and at the last, I explained you the steps that can be taken and that have been taken by the government, and what we can do to conserve the environment, what we can do to conserve the environment. So I hope the chapter is clear to everybody. All the topics, all the points are clear. Now students, in the next video, I shall be explaining the question answers, the exercises of this chapter. Till then, thank you so much. Stay safe and stay connected.